Remarkable journey of Reverend John Elliot Mack. A life of quiet greatness. Born into the red clay soil of Effingham, Darlington County, South Carolina on a chilly winter morning, January 11, 1887, John Elliot Mack entered a world of toil and tradition. The fifth child of DJ and Hattie G. Mack. Young Johnny's early years were shaped by the rhythms of farm life, deep faith, and the close-knit bonds of a growing family. By 1892, the Mack family had resettled in St. Stephen, South Carolina, where they claimed 10 acres of land and the promise of a future carved from their own labor. The 1900 U.S. Census finds Johnny at just 13, already shouldering the responsibilities of a farm laborer. At that time, he could neither read nor write, an all too common circumstance for rural black children in the South, but this would not define the man he would become. Fast forward to 1910. The farm is 222 acres and Johnny, now 23, still lived on the family farm as the eldest of 11 children, his hands calloused from years of work. Unlike his school-attending siblings, he was no longer in the classroom, but the census reveals a transformation. He had learned to read and write. This quiet triumph marked the first of many in his life. When the world was engulfed in the flames of the First World War, Johnny registered for the draft. He was described as a short man with a medium build, black eyes, and black hair, a modest physical description for a man whose spirit would later grow to command pulpits. He remained on the farm in St. Stephen's, never called into military service, perhaps because his battlefields lay elsewhere. Curiously, the 1920 census holds a mystery. While his father and several siblings appear on record at the old homestead, Johnny is nowhere to be found. Had he sold his inheritance? Or was he never granted a piece of the land he once tilled? The truth remains elusive. What is clear is that between 1917 and 1930, a great transformation took place. Johnny Mack, once a boy laboring under the southern sun, emerged as an educated man, a spiritual leader, and a husband. He earned a degree from Friendship College in Rock Hill, South Carolina, a school established by Black Baptists to educate future teachers and preachers. It is likely there that Johnny received his preacher's license, following the divine call that had surely whispered in his ear since boyhood. Here is a picture of the Friendship Baptist main building. It had 3 other buildings along with 5 acres of land for a garden to help feed the students. Both young men and women attended the school. Along with his new life came love and responsibility. Johnny married Hattie Seabury, a widow with 5 children: Nina, Lily, William, Jackson, and Corinne. Her first husband, William Seabury, had passed away suddenly in 1919 at Roper Hospital on the operating table. When Johnny said, "I do," he did more than marry a woman. He stepped into the shoes of a father, embracing a ready-made family with grace and strength. In 1930, 4 of the children were living with them, and while there's no record of Johnny's fathering biological children, he fathered these 5 through his heart in the truest sense of the word. The children of John and Hattie Seabury Mack. The 1930 the truest sense of the word. The children of John and Hattie Seabury Mack. The 1930 federal census showing John and his family living in Norfolk, Virginia. By 1930, Johnny's path had led him north to Norfolk, Virginia, where he planted spiritual roots that would flourish until his final breath. The census lists him as a Baptist minister living at 507 Appomattox Street in Norfolk, renting from a family of Methodist preachers, Stephen and Leonard Watson. Perhaps it was a shared devotion to the word that brought them together under one roof. By 1932, he and his family had settled permanently at 2517 Pearl Street in Portsmouth, a modest home that would become his sanctuary. Reverend Johnny Mack served at several churches in the Norfolk area, preaching fire and hope from the pulpit. He led congregations at St. Thomas Baptist Church, 1932 to 1937, First Baptist, 1937 to 1939, and the Zion Baptist Church of Great Bridge. From 1939 until 1942, he ministered simultaneously at Mt. Carmel Baptist Church in Portsmouth and Piney Grove Baptist in New Psalms, Virginia. The 1940 federal census showing Johnnie Mack living in Portsmouth, Virginia. According to John's niece, Elizabeth Holmes-Mack, he preached annually at St. Luke's Church in Charleston. He preached extemporaneously with no notes or written sermons. He famously preached in his sleep, and had visions of people who recently had passed away. He was able to quote scripture verbatim, and did not need to open a Bible to preach his sermons. It was during a revival at Piney Grove, a moment that should have been filled with praise and renewal, that illness struck. He returned home to Portsmouth, and on July 18, 1942, he passed away, his mission on earth fulfilled. A week later, the Norfolk Journal and Guide paid tribute to his legacy. The article described the rising brick walls of his final church project, walls built on faith and vision, now rising steadily toward heaven, echoing the very sermons he had once preached. Over $2,000 had been raised for the church's construction, a testament to the trust and love his flock had for him. He had also preached across South Carolina, North Carolina, and Florida, leaving spiritual footprints wherever he went. A picture of Mount Carmel Baptist Church of Portsmouth, Virginia, and an excrete from the local newspaper about the church and his siblings. In the end, Johnnie Mack's life was not defined by wealth or fame, but by service, transformation, and unshakable faith. From a boy who could not read to a man who inspired hundreds from the pulpit, he gave himself fully, first to his family, then to his calling, and always to his community. His life was a quiet epic, a story not always recorded in headlines, but etched in the hearts of those he lifted. Virginia.